Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner back with another installment of Jewelry with Jen. And this is a special one because I thought with the holidays coming up, we have so many holidays coming up. We have Christmas, we have Hanukkah, we have Kwanzaa. And what better way to celebrate than, gift giving is a thing across the board. So I thought it would be really, really fun if we could do something that's personalized and just kind of the theme of the library. And what's the theme of the library? Books. That's where it all started, was us going in there and getting some books to read. So I thought that wouldn't it be fun if we made bookmarks as little gifts, little stocking stuffers, little gifts that we can give. And so I've kind of come up with a culmination of several different types of bookmarks, and I want to share some of those designs with you. So I say a lot lately. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just getting old. So I wanted to share some of those different types with you so that you would have, and this is really good for both adults and kids. Anybody can do it. Everybody can do it. All you need is your regular pliers, your cutters, your round nose, and your square or chain nose pliers. And that's it, 20 gauge wire. We're using 20 gauge, and in one case you can do a bigger gauge wire or a smaller gauge wire, which would be 18 is what I'm using today, or actually you can use 18, 16, 14, whatever you can manipulate easily enough to do this one kind that I did. I did it with what did I use? 20 gauge wire, and it came out fine, but a little thinner than I wanted. I wanted it to be a little stronger. So I ended up making it with 18 gauge wire. And this is just an initial bookmark that you take and just slide it in your book. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Just slide it on your book like that. And you can slide it in between the pages, sort of like you do a paper clip. And it'll mark your page. And you have your initial right there. Isn't that cute? That's not my initial. I made that for somebody else. So anyway, here's my initial. See, I made a little teeny tiny one for me with a V. Isn't that cute? Oops, turn it that way. So there's mine, my little initial sitting on my book. And I made this one with really thin wire. I made it with 20 gauge wire. That's why I went up a notch to 18 gauge wire. So what we're going to do is that particular one, we're going to do one that's basically a spiral, and it's also very simple. You just put it on your book. Hold it up so you can see. Just hook it over the page of your book, like so. And there you go. Oh, where is it? Oh, here it is. Oh my goodness, I can't see it. There it is. So there's my bookmark. And it just kind of marks it sort of like a, sort of works like a paper clip. So there's that one. Just double spirals. And then did one with wire, another one with wire, and it's got a dangle down the back. Just slide that in your book. See, my book is down too low. Let me turn this down here. Ah, now you can see. So I just slide that in inside my book, the wire part, and the beads hang down the back, like so. And there's the wire. So that's what we're going to do. So we have 5 of them. That's 1, 2, 3. The 4th one is one that if you wanted multiple strands, like that, then you make several holes in the top, several little loops in the top. Slide that in your book. My book is upside down. You slide it in your book, and then you can use this to mark different pages. So I'm just going to pull one out here, put that down in between one of my pages, then another one. I mean, if you have a really big book, Bible, encyclopedia, anything like that, and you want to mark several pages, this is the way to go. And all you need is 3 strands of cord, and you'll have 6 markers. So look at that. So we're marking all my different pages. Very simple. Several loops at the top, putting a cord through each loop, as many as you want. I put 5 loops on here and only put 3 cords in because that gave me 6 bookmarkers, and that was plenty. So those are the ones that we're going to do. The last one that we're going to do is just what I call, what is it? I don't call it what somebody else called it because I thought that sounded a little racy for the library. I call it book floss. So you just take a piece of cord, and this is really a good one, I thought, for if you wanted to do something really simple for a guy. You just take a piece of leather and tie beads on the end, and then that goes inside the book, like so. And you just have the cord down the front, down the back, and it depends on the size of your book, how long you want your cords to be, and it's just a nice little marker. This goes in there, and there you go. So I'm going to show you how to do each of those. They're all very, very simple and very quick, and you can make something that's personalized for somebody that you know, use their favorite colors or whatever in order to do the beads. And we're going to get started. So let me get set up here. Get down to the right camera. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I think the first one I'm going to show you is the letter bead, bookmark, because I want to. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do the letter first, and I'm just going to do a V, and it depends on how you want to do your letter. What you can do, just using this piece of paper, is draw your letter how you want it. For instance, I'm doing a V, and then you can just take your wire and shape the letter part of it. So what I'm going to do, I would suggest that you leave your wire on the spool simply because it depends on how big you want your bookmark to be. That's going to determine how much wire you need, and trying to guess it is, unless you've done several of them. And once you've done several of them and you know what size you want and you know how you want it to look, then you can go ahead and cut it off. But unless you're doing the same letter time after time after time, it's a little hard to know how much you need to work with. So I'm trying to clear all of this other stuff off so that you don't have to look at it. So I'm going to leave my wire on the spool so that it does not, so it's not too short. It just makes it easier. So here's what we're going to do. I've got a spool of wire. I'm just going to use this nice copper wire. And the first thing that I'm going to do is make a loop for my V. So I'm going to make a loop. Because I'm going to do this, but I'm going to loop it on the ends. I'm going to make a little loop here because you don't want raw edges. And then I'm going to continue it to give it a little spiral just because I want it to be a little more decorative than just a plain old loop. So there's my spiral. You can see that. All I did was take my pliers, grab the end of my wire, and just make a loop and continue to rotate until I had a little spiral in there. So there's that. There. And so now I'm making a V. So I'm going to bend it at the bottom, like a V would be, and I'm going to use this to shape the round part of my bookmark. So I'm going to put it on my jar here that I'm using to shape, and I'm going to make it almost the size of the jar. So I'm going to go down to almost the length of my jar, and I'm going to bend it. And there's my V. And then I'm going to take the other side and make a loop. And it depends on how you want to make your V. Some people start down, start a little, have one side a little lower and then the other. It doesn't matter. It's entirely up to your aesthetic and how you want it to look. So now I'm making another loop on the other side. So there's my V. And now I'm going to start to shape the round part of my bookmark. So I'm going to take it down, put it over here where I think you can see better. I'm going to bring it down around the jar or whatever cylindrical item you're using to wrap it. I'm just going to wrap the wire around it to make my circle. And if you don't want to use a jar, you can always just shape it with your fingers. If you're good at that, go for it. I'm not. I need something to guide me. So now I've got my little circle here. A little tighter. And you can always also take a hammer and kind of pound it into place. I find it's a good idea also to, whatever size you're wanting to make, use a guide that's smaller, because what happens is this is going to open up and it's going to end up bigger. So whatever size you want, use a smaller cylindrical item or just shape it smaller with your fingers so that it has some room to spring back. Okay, so this is good. This is about the size I want. I don't want it too big. Then just shape it the way you want it to look. That looks good. Cut off the end to give myself about, half an inch or so on the end. It's a little more than I need, but I want to do some shaping. So there we have the roundness that I want. There we go. And now I'm going to loop the end because, again, you don't want a raw edge there. So I'm going to just make a nice little loop, grabbing the end of my wire, the tip of my wire, with the tip of my pliers. Make a little loop or a spiral, whatever appeals to you. Continue to shape it until it's the shape that you want. And there we have it. There's my bookmark. And I like to take my little rubber mallet that I got from the dollar store and pound. Now, this sound is going to cut out. My computer does not like loud noises, so I'm not going to talk while I'm doing this. And there we go. Yay. Awesome. Got my first bookmark. You can make that again with any letter you want. I would suggest drawing it on a piece of paper and then just using your wire to trace around it. That's the easiest way to make something that you're not sure of how it's going to look. But anyway, that's our first bookmark. And let's go on to the next one. I think I'm going to do this next all wire one, this spiral one. So what I'm going to need for that, and again, it depends on how big you want it to be. For this one, I used 8. Oh, I'm getting a lot of glare, but I used 8 inches of wire, and that's what I'm going to do. So I've got my little 8 inches of wire here, and we're just going to make a spiral. So I'm going to take my pliers, make a tiny little loop. Now these are both round nose pliers, but this one is not coated, and it can put little marks in my wire if I'm not careful. So this one's coated. So I'm using this one to do help with the spirals, and this one that's coated. And so that way it won't mar my wire. In case you're wondering why she keeps switching pliers. What is that white stuff on her pliers? That's what it is. It's just something that I purchased that you dip your pliers in, and it keeps your wire from getting marred. So there's my loop. Now I'm going to continue with my spiral. So I'm going to grab the side of my wire where my loop is, and I'm just going to start wrapping the wire around itself to create a spiral. So let me get right up in here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just wrapping the wire around itself. You don't want it on the top or on the bottom of the wire before it. You want the wires to be right beside each other. So I've got a nice tight spiral going here with the rings nice and close together, if you can see that. Now what I want is 2 spirals, one on each end. So what I need to do, I like to just go part of the way with the one side and then go to the other side to make my other spiral. Now the spiral on the other end, you can see that this one's going away from me. The spiral on this end needs to be coming toward me. They need to be going in opposite directions. So I'm just going to make another loop. Again, grabbing the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers and making a circle. Let's close it up. take my flat pliers and start making a spiral. And again, you can see this one's going this way, this one's going that way. So they're just on opposite sides, going in opposite directions. And they're going to meet up in the center. Keep going. This one's a little bigger, so I keep going, and I want them to be about the same size. So that's why I like to start one and then start the other one, and then keep an eye on it to see if they look like they're about the same size. Want it as close to the same size as possible. Go to the other side. Unrolling that till I get to the center and they meet. Now, this could be bigger if you wanted. And the reason I say that is this one's bigger, and that's because, see, there's a lot more space in between the bars than this one. Same amount of wire, just depends on what you want. Okay, so I have both of my spirals are complete. And now all I have to do is open up my book and slide on my bookmark. I'm just going to do a couple of pages. Hard for me to do upside down. I don't know if you can see that this is my Mary Higgins Clark book. I miss her. I like her books. Get on there. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to do this towards me because I am not having any luck doing it in the other direction. So here we go. Okay, the joy of working on camera. All right, so I just slide one on. Oh my gosh, I'm butchering my book. Get on there. It should not be this hard. There we go. It's going on the other page. Why are you going back there, for crying out loud? I had no trouble with this before. And it may be that I made my, oh, here we go. I need to open that up a little bit so that there's a little space in between the little loops. Oh, Virginia, how humiliating. So now I have a little space in between the loops there. Slide that on one side. Slide it on the other side. This is awful. Goodness gracious. It really doesn't take that long. I'm just having a bad day. Anyway, so there we are. Just slide that on there. And you have a marker. Awesome. That thing will not come off. And it's probably because, ooh, it's tight. Let's try this one. Because see, this one I made a lot more open. I made the loops more open, so it slides on quite easily. It just slides right on there with no problems at all. So that's the key. There we go. And I'm going to show you how to do that so that it's not quite as tight as the one I just made. So I'm just going to show you one side of a spiral and how to do it so that it's not as tight. So again, you make your loop. Doesn't have to be huge, just a tiny little loop for the inside. Wrap it, start wrapping. And now when you make your spirals, just don't make the rings so close together. Just before, I put them very, very close together, as you can see, if you can see the difference. And this time I'm leaving a little space in between each one. And if I accidentally put it too close together, I can just pull it apart with my fingers. So I'm just going to make it nice and loose and open, kind of an open spiral. And once I get to a certain point, I can actually do it with my fingers because this is going to turn out so much bigger because there's air in between. So I would do this on one side, and then I would do the same thing on the other side until I had a double spiral. And then when I put it in my book, it's much easier because I have space in here to work with, just like I did with the silver one. Oops. So now I can just slide it right on. Here it is. Okay, well, sorry about that craziness with this one. This one's easily fixable because I can just open up the space out the little wires a little bit. But that's going to take more time than I have to do that. But as long as you have at least a little space between the last rings, you'll be okay getting it on your book. Let's go on to the third one. My goodness, all of that. So the next one that we're going to do is one of the little squiggly ones, one of these guys. And this is the actual marker, and this is the dangle that's going to hang down the side. Now, I have a couple of different ways that you can do that. You can just make a simple loop to hang your dangle on, or I did a spiral on this one so that if you want to, you can change your dangle. You can take it off and you can put another one on there. So it's entirely up to you which one you use. This one is more final because it's closed, but this one has a nice open loop so that you can change out your dangle. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and I think I'm going to show you that one. So we're going to take, it depends on how long you want your inside to be. It doesn't need to be more than 2 or 3 inches. So for 3 inches, I'm giving myself 6 inches of wire because that will give me enough wire for my hook at the top, my spiral at the bottom, and a little extra for a spiral for my hook. Okay. So let's start with the inside bottom. First thing I'm going to do is my little spiral that's going to be on the bottom. I'm going to grab my wire, tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers, and I'm going to make a loop. I'm telling you, you're going to become loop experts because that is an absolute must to know how to do when you're working with wire. So there's my loop. I'm going to make, again, an open spiral. You can make a tight spiral if you'd rather. I'm just going to spiral it a few times just to have a little bit of decoration down there. And it depends on how big you want your spiral to be. Doesn't have to be huge. So there's my spiral for the bottom. And now I'm going to just start making little waves. You can do this with your fingers. You can use a pencil or something in order to make the shapes. That's up to you. Depends on how exacting you want your roofs to be. So I'm just going to do that. Go back to the other side. Do it again. And I just need 2 inches on the top for my hook and for my my spiral. So I just want to be aware that I need that. Yeah, there we go. This is going to go up like so. And now I'm going to make my hook. Ooh, I dropped it. My goodness. I'm just having a good old time today, aren't I? I'm going to make my hook. It's going to go over the back of my book. Like so. And now I'm going to make a little spiral. Again, grabbing the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers and giving it a little loop. Make sure my loop is a little bit open if I want to use this, if I want to make it a interchangeable one. I don't want the loop to be closed. I want it to be a little bit open so I can slide something down in there. And I'm going to take my square nose pliers and make a little spiral. And it depends on how big you want your spiral to be. So there's my spiral. And now I'll be able to hang something. This goes on the inside of my book. Like so. And it goes down the back. And I can put a dangle on there. So let's do that. Got my marker part done. Let's do a little dangle. So I'm just going to take some little random beads that I have out here and looking for my wire. I like to put them on first so I can see how much wire I need. I'm just going to put them on. No rhyme or reason. Just got these cute little beads. So that's going to be my dangle. I'm going to put a little spiral down here at the bottom. Again, grabbing the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers. Make a little spiral. Just a tiny one this time. Kick that back a little bit so it's right under my beads. There we go. Okay, so there's my dangle. And now I'm just going to make a loop at the top. So I'm going to cut that off, give myself about 1/2 inch for my loop. Make a nice little loop. And now if you want to make sure that it's really secure, you can always loop that twice. 1.5 times, 2 times. Is plenty. Push that end down to the inside of my loop so it's not sticking out and ready to poke anybody. There we go. Let me give myself a little bit more of a spiral since I have some extra wire there. And now I can slide it on my bookmark. Slide that on there. And there's my dangle. Awesome. Open up my book, slide it in. Slide that to the inside of my book. Put the hook over the back. And let the dangle hang down. There we go. And there's my bookmark. Awesome. All right, that's 3. Now let's do this really kind of funky one with all of the little rings. All of the little rings on top. Okay, so let's do that one next. Okay, so what you need for the next one that we're going to do is about 10 or 12 inches of wire. Again, it depends on how many loops you want to put at the top and how many little squiggles you want to put at the bottom and how big you want your spiral at the bottom to be. So I gave myself about 10 inches of wire. I'm just going to make a kind of standard size, what I call a standard size spiral, which is ends up being about 10 millimeters across, which is, what is that? About a little less than 1/2 inch. So again, grabbing my pliers and grabbing my wire on the tip, making a circle, make my spiral. It's kind of a placeholder for your book. Okay. And just give myself a few rings here for my spiral. There we go. And now I'm just going to give myself a zigzag for the inside of my book. And I want to leave myself, this is plenty to put inside your book. It's about 3 inches long. You can make it longer depending on the size book. I mean, if you have a little, just a little tiny paperback book, you don't want it to be too big, too long, because you don't necessarily want it to hang down too low. Okay, so there we go. Mine's about a little more than 3 inches, about 3 1/4 inches long. So now I'm going to make my loops. Okay. So I'm just going to take my pliers, and the first loop that I'm going to make, actually you can either start down here and work your way up and then cut off what you don't want, or you can start at the top and roll down and add some little zigzags if you want. It's entirely up to you. Whatever works best for you is fine. I'm going to start down here. And I lost my pliers. There they are. I'm going to make my first ring just above the end, the last squiggle. It doesn't have to be too far up. It should be just right above the last squiggle. These are very random, as you can tell. It's not, this is not a something that, this is very artistic. Let's just put it that way. So there's one loop. I'm going to go and make another loop. And I just kind of space them out about 1/2 inch apart. Make another loop, go in the other direction. Here's the second one. And then I'm going to go all the way up. When I make my loops, see where it crosses over, and then I'll bring it up near the top, near the head of my loop, and make the next one. Going in the other direction again. And you don't even have to do that. You don't have to go one direction and then the next. You can go all one direction if you want. This is just the way I chose to do it. I like the aesthetic of it. And I'm going to stop with 3 loops because I don't really need that many loops. The last one I made, I ended up with 5 loops and I only used 3 of them. So why keep going? So I'm going to stop there. Well, I might give myself one more just because I'm being contrary. Why not? I'll give myself one more loop. Wrap that all the way around. Again, I'm going to go 1.5 times. So there's my loop. I'm going to snip this off just on the inside of my loop here. Watch that tail. You don't want it to fly. So I'm going to put it between my fingers. Cut that off. Then I'm going to tuck this end under inside my loop, so that the end of that is back against the round part of my loop and it won't snag on anything. If I can run my finger along the side here, then I know that that little tail is hidden just enough. Okay, so there's my bookmark. This is going to go on the inside of my book, like so. And this is where I'm going to put all of my little cords. And how, do you ask, do we do that? Slide a cord through one of the loops, any one that you want. Get some beads with nice large holes that will fit on my wire. This is 1 millimeter, so it can fit pretty much through any bead as long as the holes are big enough to support it. I'm just going to slide this nice big acrylic crystal bead on there, or faceted bead on there. It's not a crystal, it's acrylic. I'm going to tie a knot. There's one side. Go to the other side, find another bead or 2. And let's go with these 2. Yeah, pretty. Oh, come back. We have a jumper. Okay, let's put that one on. Wow, look at that. That's almost the same color as the cord. It's like a salmon color. What are the odds? This is not an easy color to come by. It's not pink, it's salmon. And I have a little pearl-like bead that perfectly matches it. That is kind of crazy. Okay, so there's my one. There's my one set of cords. Let's go up and do one more. Let's do this green one. So I'm going to put that one up here. Yeah, let's put that in there. Oh, yeah, let's put this one in first. Oh, I hope that's going to fit. Get in there. That's the thing about cord. Sometimes it gets a little frayed. A friend of mine showed me how to put tape on the end, and that makes it into a little needle. Well, we're not doing that. I'm not going to fight you on camera. Just forget it. I don't think. Come on. Work with me. It really doesn't want to go in there. Oh, for heaven's sake. Let's use this one. There we go. A little bit of cooperation, that's all I ask. Oh, here's another bead. I'm going to use this one because it looks like it has a nice big hole in it, and it does. That's the biggest thing that you have to concern yourself with, is making sure you have a big enough hole. There we go. That works. Make a knot. There's one side. And let's go to the other side. Oh, what do I want? I think I'm going to use this one. It matches the other one on the other side there. And let's get another one of these. Let's do this. Is pretty. There. Make a knot. There we go. And you can cut this off. You don't have to leave it this long. You just want it to be long enough so that it'll fit down in your book. It does, you don't have to have this much of a tail. You can double knot it, you can single knot it. Very simple process. And then we have two tails there. And then you can also, because we have this nice 1.5 opened loop up here, you can do the same thing that we did with the other one and make this a use this one because it matches some of the other beads. Make this interchangeable. Since we already made a spiral on there, why not? Do a little dangle at the top. Open that up a little more. Slide that on. And there we go. Now we have another little dangle at the top. We have our little cords that we can slide in our book. So I have one wire that can go in the book, especially if it's maybe a school book or something and you want to mark several pages, or a cookbook. I have a little dangle at the top. I have all my little cords. I can mark that page. I can mark this page. I can mark another page. And I just put 2 cords on there. I can mark 4 pages, 5 really, when you look at your wire piece. So I can mark all of those different pages with my one bookmark. And there we go. All of those pages are nicely marked. And you can make it shorter than this. It doesn't have to be this long. Neat, huh? And it's really neat because I can pull this to make these even. This one's a little longer than the other. All I have to do is pull it and it'll be even with the other one. So neat. Awesome. Is that all of them? I think I have one more. Yes, I do. We have our book floss. That's easy as pie. It's just you're doing it the exact same way that we did this one, the multi-cord one. But I'm using a piece of leather. I thought maybe it would be nice to do one for a guy. They don't want a lot of frills or anything like that. So you just take a nice length of leather cord, feed beads on the end of it. I've got these nice wooden beads, very manly looking. Make a knot in the end. You can make a barrel knot or you can just make a plain knot. It's entirely up to you. Pull it nice and tight. Let my beads drop down. Go to the other side. Put some more beads on. I think I'll put one of these dark green ones on because that looks manly enough. That's kind of awesome. Another one of these barrel wood beads on there. Make my knot. And how easy is that? Open the book. Put it on the inside. You can have one hanging down the back. And one inside the book. Or, again, you can mark 2 pages. So I'm marking 1 page. And now I'm going to mark another page. So I've got 2 pages nicely marked. There you go. You can make this shorter. If you know the distance, the length of the book, and most books have a, most books are the same size. Just measure it. There is a standard book size. I don't know what it is, which is a darn embarrassment considering I'm doing this for the library. I should know, but all the books are different, but there is a standard size for most books. And you can just make it this long. If you don't want it to be too long, you can make it as long as a standard book, just maybe a little longer so that you have a little wiggle room. But that is as easy as it gets. I just knocked over my beads, darn it. And that's it. Those are your 5 really easy to make bookmarks. Nice gift to go with the book that you could give somebody. It's a nice stocking stuffer. It's a nice book, or a nice gift for Hannakah, for Kwanzaa, for anything really. Birthdays, it doesn't even have to be for the holidays that are coming up. You can make these for anybody, anytime during the year. And I can almost guarantee that they'll love it because number 1, you made it. And number 2, it's kind of custom for whoever you're making it for, because you can make all different colors, pick their favorite colors and make them the colors that they like. You can make it their birthstone, something that reminds them of a particular time in their life, whatever you want to do. Bookmarks are so easy. to customize. Give it to them for Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you want. It's just a no-brainer. It's one of the most fun things that I do, and I really enjoy doing it. And it's really easy to make. I took the little thing off and put it over there. But there's that bookmark. So anyway, that is what I wanted to give you today, because I just wanted to do something a little bit different than we normally do just for the holidays, so that you would have a little gift item that you could work on. Kids can do it, adults can do it, everybody can do it. It's so easy, so much fun. You need very, very little in the area of supplies. And you can even use up beads that you might have that you have are left over from something that you made for somebody. Maybe you made them a necklace or a bracelet or something like that, and there were a couple of beads that were left over. You can use that in the as one of the components of your design for the bookmark, and they can carry it with them wherever they go. I've made bookmarks for people, and they've made bookmarks for themselves that they just absolutely love. So I think it's a fun project, and I hope you enjoyed it. Went a little outside of the jewelry, but we did use jewelry beads. So I hope that you like this, and that maybe we can do more things like that. I'm not a big crafty person. This is about as close as I go to crafts, but I thought this would be fun, and I hope you liked it. Okay, have a nice week. Enjoy all of the holidays that are coming up. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, and I hope I will see you all again soon, or at least you'll see me. Okay, bye-bye.